UFC Fight Night Mexico City, Moreno versus Erceg just took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelim opener of Marquel Mederos versus Austin Hubbard. It seemed like Marquel Mederos outlanded him in terms of damage in the first and third round. Austin Hubbard had his back for basically what felt like the entirety of the second round, but Mederos was able to survive, and he just did more damage in the first and the third round. This was very close, though. Very, very close. Round 3, I thought, was quite clearly Marquel Mederos. Hubbard was trying to get off his grappling, but Mederos was doing a really good job with the elbows during some of the scrambles that they would have. And round 1 was a very, very competitive round, but Mederos was landing the more damaging shots and overall was doing more damage. They cared about that for some of the decisions. I'm going to talk about a pretty interesting one later on this card that was quite an interesting decision. But I went with Marquel Mederos. He won the fight. I was glancing over it. We move on. Up the card, Jamall Emmers versus Gabriel Miranda. I picked Jamall Emmers by first round TKO, and Jamall Emmers got a first round TKO. Smoked Gabriel Miranda badly. Hurt him originally in the fight, and then Gabriel Miranda actually had him in some danger earlier in the fight, which was a first rounder anyway, but he had him down early in the fight. Took him down, had his back at one point nearly, was going for some good positional control, had a submission attempt, I believe a rear naked choke it was, and then Jamall Emmers escaped position, put him up against the cage, and just beat the hell out of him, sleeping him with a straight right hand down the pipe, putting him away, hurting him originally, and then following up and sleeping him out cold. Jamall Emmers is pretty underrated. I don't think Jamall Emmers can beat anyone that good, but he can smoke Gabriel Miranda's level opponents all day long. Because Gabriel Miranda, in my opinion, just shouldn't be in the UFC. He's one of those fighters that just kind of slip through the cracks when you've got much better guys on the regional scene. I don't think he's all that, but he's in the UFC. He's been smoked a bunch of times. I'm sure this will probably be the last fight on his career. And Jamall Emmers got a really nasty KO. One thing about this fight, though, Jamall Emmers' corner team were arguing at the end of it. They actually nearly got into a fight in the corner after Jamall Emmers got the KO win. One of his cornermen, and I think someone who is Bobby Green's adopted father, so Bobby Green's coach, the white guy that went on JRE with him a long time ago, the guy in Jamall Emmers' corner, the black guy, turned to him and pointed in his face like some really aggressive, and they started hand fighting each other in the corner. I don't know if anyone's seen the clip on Twitter, but they were hand fighting. They were going at each other in the corner, and the guy was getting right in the older white guy's face. Almost to say, maybe they had a disagreement on an approach to the fight, and the guy's approach was proven to be correct. But even still, that's no reason to get into a scrap in the corner. That's kind of crazy, especially for an old man. Which, the guy was in the corner that was kind of getting pressed by the other guy in the corner. That's kind of an insane thing, but it made for some funny Twitter posts, so interesting, though. I wonder what the story was behind that. The only thing I could feel like it was anyway logical to describe why they would go at each other like that is if the white guy had been telling him the whole time, no, we shouldn't be doing it that way. We shouldn't be going for that. We shouldn't be pushing for this. And then, he was sort of being negative about the way that Jamall Emmers could win, and the other guy was saying, no, I believe he can push him up against the cage and sleep him with a big shot. But even still, you have no idea how a fight's going to go. This could very easily have been a loss for Jamall Emmers or a different type of win. So, I don't know. I'd like to hear why they got into an argument in the corner. Maybe we'll get some kind of statement out of that afterwards. But they nearly got into a proper fight with each other. I know people say, they just got heated, it's okay. But they really got in each other's face. And one of the guys got into the older guy's face, and he started having to wrist control him to stop him getting on him, basically. It was kind of crazy. So, really good win from Jamall Emmers. There was more of a competitive fight in the corner of that. So, great win from him. They should cut Gabriel Miranda. We move on. Rafa Garcia versus Vinc Pichel. Glanced through this one. I saw a judge gave this 30-27, and that intrigues me, in all honesty. I saw a judge gave this 30-27, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't believe I'm mistaken here. I really don't believe I'm mistaken. So, that was very, very interesting to me. Very interesting to me, because I thought Vinc Pichel could have got round 2 of that. It was a very close fight. Very close fight. Rafa Garcia would get some takedowns. Vinc Pichel was busier in the moments up against the cage and stuff. I thought Rafa Garcia was doing good work at range. I gave him the first and the third. But I don't know. I can't remember which one I was seeing, but I definitely remember watching it back and giving a round to Vinc Pichel. I thought he was doing good work to the body. And 2 judges gave it to Rafa Garcia 30-27. I did say in the build-up to this, do not be surprised if we get a lot of Mexican bias with the judging and sort of like predict accordingly. It's not why I picked Rafa Garcia. I thought he would have a much easier time against Vinc Pichel than he did because Vinc Pichel is 42 years old. So I thought, oh, he's going to get smoked by Rafa Garcia or at least beaten convincingly. I had Rafa Garcia winning. 2 judges having it 30-27. I skimmed through the fight and I watched through it on like 1.5 times speed. And I was looking back whenever there was a finish on the prelims to look back because I missed the first 3 fights. But I was watching it through and I was thinking, I think it was round 2. I'm pretty sure I gave a round to Vinc Pichel pretty clearly from my memory. So it was an interesting one. But Rafa Garcia won. Again, he's got a bunch of wins in a row. Or at least he has a lot of wins and a very winning UFC record. Not a bunch in a row. He lost to Grant Dawson in his last fight. But before that, he was on a 2-fight win streak. He's now won 5 out of his last 7. You know, losing to Drakkar Klose and Grant Dawson, which aren't terrible wins. I just don't think he's ever going to be a top guy. You've got to be putting away Vinc Pichel or at least having a good dominant performance against him if I'm going to believe that you're going to go on to be something in the lightweight division. Very difficult division. I don't think Rafa Garcia's got it, to be honest with you. We move on. Up the card, Lupita Godinez versus Julia Polastri. This one showed up the men's fights on the card. In the 3rd round only, though. The 3rd round, I was joking around early on the fight. Because, it was a shit fight for the first 2 rounds. Let's just call it what it was. Lupita Godinez got a takedown and then nothing happened for the rest of that round. No ground and pound, no submission attempts. Just really weak top control. I don't know why some fighters are just incapable of doing that. We'll get to Raul Rosas Jr. in a second. But this was just ineffective top control from Lupita Godinez. She would be on top. And she'd hold down Julia Polastri and do some damage here and there, don't get me wrong. But it was whatever. It was a whatever first 2 rounds. And then round 3 got very, very close. And I actually thought Julia Polastri got the 3rd round. Every judge agreed with me, making it 29-28 to Lupita Godinez, which I predicted. But I just thought that she'd be able to get takedowns more as the fight went on. But she started to fail her takedowns in the later round, and Julia Polastri actually started pushing forward with a bit of swagger, with her hands down, landing some pretty good shots on Lupita Godinez. So it was a really good 3rd round to watch. I think Lupita Godinez in her corner said that she needed a poo. I mean, that Mexican food kicking everybody's ass. Joe Pyfer had Taco Bell out there, shat his pants backstage and pulled out the fucking card. That's not a joke, okay? He didn't pull out a green card or that would have been snatched immediately, but he pulled out the card immediately. He had very bad diarrhea. And Lupita Godinez had a really bad stomach problem as well, I guess, because she was saying at the end of the 2nd round, between the 2nd and the 3rd, she was saying, I really need to poo. I'm going to poo myself. And listen, I thought the women's fights were a shit break for us. Little did I know. Little did I know they were a shit break for the women as well in the fight. So Lupita Godinez nearly was matching a lot of male fight fans around the world taking a poo in the middle of her fight. Interesting stuff there, but, it was a decent 3rd round, to be fair. The first 2 were very dull rounds. Lupita clearly won them out, grappling her and just holding her down. She did a really funny thing at one point, Lupita Godinez, where she took her down in the 2nd, let her back up, and then took her down again and kept her there for the rest of the round. I don't know why she would let her back up if she's just going to shoot again, but interesting stuff. Yeah, she won the fight. Not a great 3rd round. Still kept in it in the 3rd round, but she was clearly getting the worst of the exchanges. We move on. Christian Rodriguez versus Melquizael Costa. Christian Rodriguez. Miss weight against Raul Rosas Jr. Hand him his first loss. Ruin his undefeated record. Missed weight against Cameron Saimon. Hand him his first loss. Loses his undefeated record against you. Then, okay, you've missed weight twice and ruined 2 bantamweight prospects. Not missed weight by a pound, by the way, by multiple in both of those fights. Then you move up to featherweight. He ain't going to beat Bulgarian. Wait, did he lose? Did he beat Bulgarian first and then lose to fucking Julian Erosa? This guy has done nothing but ruin the sport. What an inconsistent asshole he is. Moves up, beats Bulgarian, hands him his only loss. Ruins his undefeated career. Arguably robs him, by the way. If Isaac Bulgarian was called Isakov Bulgarianov, he wins that fight 30-27, forget the third round of a beatdown from C-Rod. Arguably robs him. Gets the win. Because he's just an amazing guy, this Christian. What an amazing fighter Christian Rodriguez is. He can beat Isaac Bulgarian, of all people. At featherweight. When he's not even that big. Gets fraud checked by Julian Erosa. I'm angry enough at C-Rod. I'll get to the fight itself in a second. I'm angry enough at C-Rod. Loses to Julian Erosa. I thought my anger would stop there. Austin Bashi's on the come up. Undefeated, 13-0. The next big thing. C-Rod fucking beats him and fraud checks him easily. Absolutely fraud checks him in that fight. Beats another amazing prospect for the division. Surely he won't lose to Melquizael Costa. Loses to Melquizael Costa. Dare I say clearly loses. I don't know how a judge... Well, I don't know how some people were saying robbery or... I don't even remember. I think was a scorecard something or the other. I don't remember what it was. Let me have a look. What was the scorecard? There was definitely some kind of controversy with the decision there. But no, there wasn't. It was a unanimous decision to Melquizael Costa. But a lot of people were saying that C-Rod was up 2-0. And the odds... Oh, that's what it was. It wasn't a decision. It wasn't people saying it. The odds were evens going into the third round. And I said, what? Live bet Melquizael. Christian Rodriguez needs to finish. And he's not getting it. He nearly did in the third round. But Melquizael won the first 2 rounds. C-Rod was holding him up against the cage. The clock was vanishing in front of him. And he just didn't do enough. And on the feet early, Melquizael was too dangerous, too big, too strong, too powerful. Almost like you should be a disciplined bantamweight, isn't it, Christian Rodriguez? God, I'm angry at him for what he's done. All those prospects ruined. For what? All of those fun, undefeated prospects ruined. For what? So you could lose to Julian Erosa and Melquizael Costa? You sicken me. You sicken me. You filth. I can't believe he's done that to both divisions. Loses to anyone he's supposed to be. Fraud checks anyone he's supposed to lose to. It's pathetic. Loses the first round. Nearly has a choke-in. But then he gets reversed, and then Melquizael Costa lands elbows to the body at the end of the round. Wins the round from it. Arguably was winning the round anyway, but I think the submission attempt would have gave it back to C-Rod. But then the elbows to the body on the ground at the end, give it to Melquizael Costa. Round 2, Melquizael just does more damage outright. And also doesn't get taken down and gets his own takedown, I believe. Round 3, C-Rod's breaking him. But he can't get dominant position. You know, Melquizael Costa, we've seen him in trouble on the ground before, but C-Rod couldn't get dominant position over him. Could not get dominant position over him. He kept trying to go for the back and not being able to get it. And then Melquizael would just pop out of it. Christian Rodriguez would go for mount. And then Melquizael would find his way back to his feet from there. It was just like C-Rod had no weight to him. It's almost like you should be a disciplined bantamweight, isn't it? Anyone big at featherweight just beats him. But anyone like his size at featherweight or bantamweight, where he can miss weight and be bigger than them, he fraud checks all these undefeated. I'm sick of Christian Rodriguez. Absolutely sick of him. For what? What did you ruin all 4 of those? Listen to that. Loses to Melquizael Costa, who looked good. Fair play to him, and he's on the mend. I'm joking. But still, Melquizael Costa beats him. Julian Erosa beats him. He beat Austin Bashi, Isaac Bulgarian, Cameron Saimon, and Raul Rosas Jr. Gave all of them their first loss. For what? Nothing? That's what you'll tell... Nothing? For nothing. It sickens me. Good win from Melquizael Costa. Didn't see it coming. I should have done, no. I should have done. But oh well. We move on. Jose Medina versus Ateba Gautier. Jose Medina is just a victim out there. Let's just call it what it is. Flabby, out of shape. No fast twitch muscle fiber in his body. Ateba Gautier, the direct opposite of that. He's not 6'4". So the idea of him is a lot more terrifying than he is. But he is dangerous. And he's got nasty knockout power. So Ateba Gautier, I predicted a first round KO. He got a first round KO. There was a moment where he was landing on Medina and Medina was eating the shots and beckoning him on. That I was like, oh, hang on. We're at altitude and this guy doesn't look like he's built to go 3 straight rounds at altitude, swinging like that. But he's powerful, dangerous, looked really good. And it wasn't even like, oh my God, he's so sloppy. You know what I mean? Normally when you see someone with that much power and that build, it's like, okay, well, Ngannou is, you know, he eventually honed his skills. But at first it was like, okay, but he's sloppy, which is how Stipe beat him the first time. But Gautier looked a little bit more composed this time. The grappling that he showed on the Contender Series was a little worrying, so I think that's where the approach is going to be to beat him. But on the feet, this guy can give a lot of problems to a lot of middleweights. Let's just not give him like an Anthony Hernandez next. You know what I mean? Give him something fun at middleweight, and then maybe we'll build into like a matchup against a Marquel or a, you know, one of those, a Roman Kopylov, one of those names that's going to be a fun striking matchup. But yeah, Ateba Gautier, give him a few more and start putting him against those names because I think he's a dangerous guy. And he's young. I think he's 22. We may need to verify that because the guy could have just showed up in France or wherever he was and just been like, yeah, I'm 20 years old. Yeah, as a 50-year-old man, which he very possibly could be. But yeah, very, very dangerous looking guy. Put away Jose Medina with like a knee up the middle after landing some shots on him up against a cage. Put him away. Finished him off. I actually think they could have allowed for a follow-up sequence, but I think they had to take into consideration Jose Medina had done nothing in the fight other than be a victim since the fucking bell sounded. So, yeah, man. Like, honestly, I hate to say it, but I think the Samoan and the Mexican build in the heavier weight classes is kind of obsolete now. I don't know about you guys. I hate to say it in that type of way because it's hard to just completely generalize like that. And I know there will be exceptions to the rule now and again. People, Cain Velasquez. But I think nowadays in the sport, with how athletic some of these big guys are, you know, the speed of some of these top guys, the size of them, the Latin guys, he's not even Mexican, Medina, but the Latin guys and the Samoan guys, it's just a bit flabby in those divisions. And you can't keep taking shots like that. I know they've got better chins on average. Don't get me wrong. They've got better chins on average. That's kind of their trait that they have is the toughness of them. But in the heavier weight classes, people know how to hit you more than once now. It's not like, oh, they might catch you with a big shot every couple times around. Gautier was landing over and over again on him. And he was eating it. And I was like, oh, hang on. This could get interesting. But he just got slept. So, yeah. I don't think that build's working out. You know what I mean? Unfortunately. They're going to have to adjust in some way. Become more of an Anthony Hernandez. You've got to grapple offensively if you got that build in those heavier divisions. We move on. Up the card to the main card. On the prelims, I went what? What did I go on predictions? I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I went 5-1. I said Gautier first round KO. He got it. I picked C-Rod decision. He nearly got it, but not quite. Fumbled it at the end of the first. And then I had Lupi Godinez 29-28, got it. Rafa Garcia 29-28, got it. Jamall Emmers TKO in the first round, got it. And Marquel Mederos, I said TKO or decision 29-28. So pretty good predictions on the prelims. We move on to the main card. Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. This was a tempting underdog. I went with Ronaldo Rodriguez because of his resume. Not in terms of that he's beaten anyone that good. But in terms of his record, his experience, Borjas had also been in a similar spot. Borjas looked really good in this fight. And I think it was because Ronaldo Rodriguez is that shit. I'm going to be real about Ronaldo Rodriguez. He got fucking exposed. I thought, oh, you know what? O'Day's all right for a flyweight. O'Day Osborne. He's had some close fights with people, you know. He's dynamic. He's athletic. He's rangy for the division. So I was like, okay, Borjas is more of a scrapper. Similar build to Ronaldo Rodriguez. They'll get scrappy, and that's where Ronaldo Rodriguez is going to have success. And Borjas had lost to some guys as well and shown his level. Van beat the shit out of him. But it turns out Joshua Van's a god in that flyweight division. And Ronaldo Rodriguez is shit. That was really the story of this fight. I know he's got a massive fan base, and they're probably going to be watching this, like, wondering how I would react to it or give him any kind of advice. He ain't built for flyweight. I don't think he's ready for flyweight. You have to be really good at flyweight to make it. And if you can't beat Borjas, because he's got a straight right hand and you never adjust to it any of the rounds, any minute of any of the rounds. It's tough, man. It's tough. And I don't think he's going to be anything. I don't think this is a recoverable loss. I'd have rather he got slept or submitted or caught by something, or this was really bad looks for him. Really, really bad looks. He constantly got hit with the same shots. He got a takedown at the end of the first round and then never really shot again. He did at times, but only when things got bad for him. So I was thinking, okay, we'll set something up. Throw a combination. He just kept going for this lead left hook and getting stung by the straight right hand counter of Borjas, who looked like a fucking Edson Barboza after 10 rounds of chemotherapy out there. I mean, it was insane. He was blasting straight right hands down the pipe on Ronaldo Rodriguez over and over again, and Rodriguez never adjusted once. Round 1, he got dropped twice. They say once, because the second time was more off balance. I didn't think it was a 10-8 round. A lot of people were saying 10-8, 10-8. It wasn't. He wasn't badly hurt by either of the knockdowns. So much so, I actually thought this was a great moment. If he would have got the win, it would have been a superstar performance. So it kind of clouded my judgment of how bad he looked. But he got dropped in round 1, and he immediately rolled into a back handstand and popped back up like, what's up? So if he would have got a win after that, we're talking superstar. We're talking TikTok edits made of him. Like, he's already a sensation. But honestly, I know I say C-Rod fraud checked all these guys, but they still put up good fights and made adjustments and tried a different approach, and, you know, there was something they could improve on. With Ronaldo Rodriguez, this was a fraud check. This was absolutely, you aren't ready. Like, you are not ready for flyweight. You need to take a year, 6 months, like, really change your gym. You've got to go to the fighting nerds. He tried to be a fighting nerd. He was throwing wheel kicks, jumping switch high kicks. Like, it was too much. And it was an example of, like, when you do all this flashy stuff, sometimes hidden underneath it is the fact that you aren't good at the technical stuff. Blasting straight right hands on him, Borjas, over and over and over again. And Rodriguez never adjusted. Never adjusted. I gave Borjas every round. I don't know about you guys. They had this 29-28, I believe. Let me check the scorecards here. They had it 29-28. Oh, on one of the scorecards, which is insane. I had it 30-27. I agreed with the other two judges. I can't believe they gave a round to Rodriguez. He lost every round. I don't know what round they would have given him. Round 2? He didn't win round 3. He kept getting stung by a straight right hand over and over and over again and just never adjusted once. Single shots, no combinations, no takedown, no flow. Flyweights are really good, so it was really surprising to see him be so flawed as a 17-2 flyweight up-and-comer. I know he didn't look good against Ode Osborne, but, you know, he had moments. He nearly finished him early in that fight, or he nearly got finished, didn't he? And then he nearly finished Ode, and then it was one of those ones, but yuck. It was just a yuck performance where it was like, oh, God, I can't believe in this guy after that. It was really bad. So, good job, Borjas. I'm not trying to take too much away from him, but I expected some adjustment from Ronaldo Rodriguez, a head kicker. Not everything has to be a wheel kick, a jumping switch kicker. Throw something different, you know? Step in with a jab, double jab, feint your way in. It was just, everything simple he did was really bad. And everything else missed. He was throwing wheel kicks from elbow range. It actually happened quite a lot this fight. He was throwing wheel kicks from elbow range. And they were just wrapping around the back of Borjas, missing him completely. So, yeah, Borjas wins as an underdog. Surprising, but I could see it a bit because I didn't think Ronaldo was that good. But Borjas is a better trained at the most simple parts of the game. And that's what you saw there. We move on. David Martinez versus Simon Oliveira. I picked David Martinez by TKO. Early, I got TKO early from David Martinez. He looked great. He looked really good. Simon Oliveira looked really bad, though. He's been out of the cage for nearly 2 years. He's older. He's always been... his durability has been in question, in my opinion, throughout his career. He never seemed like the guy to grit down and go. He had a decent fight on the Contender Series, but a little different. David Martinez beat the hell out of him. Landed good shots early on the low kicks. Oliveira was like running for the clinch, and it was such a pathetic attempt. It was like, oh, this guy's done. After I saw him run for that clinch, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. There was a moment where he ran to get the clinch on David Martinez, and I was like, what's he going to throw? What's he going to throw? Oh, nothing. I literally went, he's just hugging him. He ran after him like a zombie for like 5 straight seconds, throwing nothing but trying to get a hold of him up against the cage. It was a very timid performance from Simon Oliveira. And eventually David Martinez landed a pull right-hand counter, I believe. Hurt him badly, put him up against the cage, beat on him a little bit, and then landed a big shot that put him down on his back and put him out. David Martinez gets a first-round TKO. The crowd goes wild. He's mean. I said it in the build-up. I told you I was watching his tape. Everything he throws is mean. With bad intentions, everything is full power, full pelt. Might not be the most powerful, but he ain't tapping away. We'll get to Steve Erceg's performance in a second, but he ain't tapping away. David Martinez wins the fight by first round TKO. We move on. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Vinc Morales. Chihuihuis. I know Chihuihuis. And someone called him like a Mexican folklore character called El Disgustio or something like that. Which was like made me laugh massively during the fight companion. Like a tale of the old folklore, El Disgustio. And I thought this was a really bad performance by Raul Rosas Jr. Not in the way that it's not impressive that he could out-grapple Vinc Morales. Round 3, Vinc Morales nearly caught him in, I believe I can't remember what way, it was a Bravo choke or a Dash choke, but he nearly had him in one of those north-south type chokes. I think it was a Dash choke. I can't remember what way round he had the choke in. But it was at a weird angle the whole time because Rosas was like parallel to him. He was on his back, Morales was, and Rosas was like very, very in line with him. So there was no angle for it to add to the squeeze on the neck of Raul Rosas Jr. So he was going to survive it, but it did look bad at certain moments. So Morales nearly subbed him twice in the 3rd round, but Rosas kept top position. He escaped those positions. And round 1 was clearly his. He out-grappled Morales the whole round. Couple good moments on the feet earlier. Round 2. Round 2 was an interesting round because he had dominant position long enough to win the round. Don't get me wrong, but man, he did nothing. He did nothing to damage Morales in that round. Just keeping it real here. Like, this is what I would say with other people as well. I know he's a star, and I know I'm rooting for Chihuihuis. He's a big name. Only no problema. But this was weak. This was pretty weak. There was no, ground and pound. There were certain moments I was like, okay, you've got 10 seconds left on the clock. You're on top of him. Posture and throw. You've got dominant position over him. Posture and throw here. We got 10 seconds left. Make sure you get this. And he was just on the back, not doing anything in terms of a rear naked choke attempt. There wasn't a single submission attempt from him. He out-grappled Vinc Morales. But like, dude, this is a fight, you know? And Merab does more than that. That's when you know you're in bad territory. This guy made Merab look like Moicano in the 1st round against Benoit Saint-Denis by comparison. It was... And I complain about those guys. They don't do as much damage as the others. It's holding up against the cage. Like... But Ankalaev did more in the clinch than Raul Rosas Jr. did in this fight. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad to watch. It was very boring. And I know the crowd still went, "Chee-wee-wees" at the end, and they were still cheering him. Bro, I don't know if that runs if you're a UK fighter. Like, straight up, you'd get booed out of the UK if you fought like that. That was embarrassing. I think that was an embarrassing performance. And listen, I think Vinc Morales is tough and he's a good scrambler. But, I don't know. He needs to do more than say Chihuihuis on a post-fight interview if he's going to keep that level of hype. He will continue the Chihuihuis. And it will be a big thing because that's how brain rot works in the current generation. But I need more if I'm going to be hyped. That's all I'll say about that performance from Raul Rosas Jr. I need more. Where was the punches? Like, any little tap? Not even taps. Little mini punches. Morales was doing more of them. Interesting. But he did have, like, one hooking on the back permanently. So it's a dominant position for him, right? So they score that with the grappling a lot more, but I don't know. If C-Rod did that to someone, I'd be screaming they got robbed. I'm just being real. I didn't think it was all that of a performance. It was weak. Very, very weak performance. Anyway, we move on. Up the card, Edgar Chairez versus CJ Vergara. I said Edgar Chairez would get an early TKO. He got an early finish. He didn't get a TKO, but he damn near did. He looked like the mini Pereira, you know? Taco no taco. Huh? Vergara. Huh? Taco no taco. Huh? Enchilada no enchilada. Huh? And he looked like a mini Pereira, a mini Mexican Pereira out there. And he landed a left hook immediately. Vergara's cooked. Vergara's done. That's what this comes down to. I loved this finish from Edgar Chairez. I want to apologize because I saw him crying in the post-fight speech, and I was like, all right. I wasn't even listening. I was like, all right, don't cry. You beat Vergara, and now you're all happy again. So I questioned how quickly he snapped emotions. Apparently, he was crying about his granddad dying. This is why I should listen to the fucking post-fight speech. My bad. But Edgar Chairez landed a nasty left hook. Patient afterwards, which was good because Vergara can make you over-chase a finish against him because he's so finishable and terrible and weak-chinned at flyweight, which is tough because there's nowhere to go from there. That he was patient. He actually composed himself and visibly went like that in the cage, like, okay, calm it down. I'm recomposing. And then he went in for a finish, dropped Vergara again, sunk in the rear naked choke, made him tap immediately in the first round. I think Vergara's done. Vergara's got to be done. Yeah, Vergara's got to be out of the UFC. I don't know why he was in the UFC in the first place, but this is a sign. Just get rid of him. You got to get rid of him. Edgar Chairez, great win in Mexico. Good to see. I knew it was going to be a good fight or a good finish from him because he's always really fun. So I'm glad he got a performance bonus and I'm glad he got a big win in Mexico. But, you know, this was a layup and he made it look like that. So good for Edgar Chairez. Really nasty finish in the first round. Just how good is Joshua Van again? Just how good is Joshua Van at flyweight? I'm looking forward to what you can do moving forward against someone who isn't a massive, rangy Charles Johnson. Anyone his size at flyweight for Joshua Van, I think he gives big problems to. We move on. Up the card to another fight, which was Manuel Torres versus Drew Dober. I went with Manuel Torres by TKO in the first round. He got a TKO in the first round. Drew Dober, of course, this wasn't one of his favorite opponents to go up against. If Torres would have spent a bit more time in the sun in the build-up of this fight, Dober might have taken his head off. You know what I mean? But Manuel Torres smoked Drew Dober. It's an uncomfortable truth about Drew Dober. This was an underdog pick when I made it. I think Dober eventually became the underdog. So not a lot of people gave me credit for picking him as an underdog. But a lot of people saw Torres as an underdog and thought, oh, Dober's getting cracked a lot recently. Eventually that luck runs out with the chin. You know? The war he went through with Gene Silva. Got slept by Matt Frevola. It's been happening more. Even before Bobby Green got slept by him, he was teeing off on Drew Dober. Bobby Green was teeing off on Drew Dober. Rafael Alves was smashing him with massive shots, and he eats them. But Manuel Torres is a different level of power at lightweight. So if you aren't taller than him and rangier than him to where he has to push against you, if he can be in some way patient early and let himself get the range, rather than 6'3", massive reached Ignacio Bahamondes, he's a problem. He's a problem for anyone his frame at lightweight. So really nasty finish by Manuel Torres. He stung Dober down the pipe, I believe, with a 1-2. Put him down and then like smashed the side/back of the head. But you know they're legal these fucking days. Smashed the side, back of the head. A lot of them were to the side. A lot of them were clean. Original, they did land quite to the back, but the rest of them he kept clean to the side of the head. It was very Johnny Walker, Paul Craig-ish. It was Drew Dober semi-consciously grabbing onto his leg and his foot, while Torres just sort of hammered away with shots, standing. I actually think it could have been stopped a little bit earlier. Drew Dober complained about how early the stoppage was, but that's just him. He's going to recover quick. He recovered quick after the Matt Frevola stoppage as well. But it was a good stoppage. I think it should have been stopped a little bit earlier. Torres put hands on Dober and put him away. Got a performance bonus for it. Called it first round KO. He's nasty, man. I thought there'd be more elbows. I thought there'd be more elbows from Torres because Dober is head first. He's head first. He doesn't feint first. He hasn't got a tight guard like Moreno had in the main event. We'll get to that. He swings with his head, then his punch, and then his kicks are slow. He's tough. He's durable. He'll break you if you want to get brawly with him. But I think that chin's running out, and Torres was a sniper in this fight. Little bit of sloppiness early, but he composed himself, and you saw it after he got a little bit wild. he kind of shook himself a bit and went, okay, let me compose myself. I'm going a little bit nuts here against Drew Dober. And then bang, he caught him with a straight shot. Good front kicks to the body in the fight. I think he landed 2 of them and then just smoked him with a 1-2 down the pipe. Nasty work from Manuel Torres. Nasty KO win in the first round, as I predicted. We move on. Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg. Moreno landed the only shots of significance in this fight. You will look at the numbers and you will see that Erceg outlanded him. Every round, Erceg landed more, and he did. To the guard, to the tappy low kick. This was like Allberg Jan, but like worse for Allberg. And Jan already should win that fucking fight. But not any. Moreno landed way better shots. Round 1, Erceg outlands him. And Moreno smokes him with some big right hands in that round. And the commentary are talking about Erceg, how good everything looks. Oh my God. Erceg, everything he does looks great. You got to throw like you're trying to hurt your opponent. Matt Schnell is not the... And I said this going into the build-up. People were saying Erceg's going to catch him. I was like, dude, there's no way Erceg wins at altitude on short notice. He had a camp for Almabayev. You got to have a specific camp for altitude. That's what Moreno had. He's not going to win it as the fight goes on. Even though he did look good and he didn't look like he gassed all that much. But he's not going to win it as the fight goes on. Then I thought, well, he's not going to finish Moreno early. Matt Schnell is not a good deciding factor on if this guy has KO power or not. Matt Schnell gets KO'd by everyone, you know? So Steve Erceg, just no committing to anything he threw. In round 2 and 1, he did commit a little bit, but Moreno was landing really good as well. And I gave Moreno the first 2 rounds. I gave Erceg the third, in my opinion. That was my only round I gave to Erceg in this fight. But I saw how round 2 was close. Don't get me wrong. I saw how round 2 was close. But I thought Moreno landed way better, and he landed really good low kicks as well on Erceg. And that was the difference. He landed a low kick. It was a massive hacking low kick on Erceg. To the thigh, right in there, thud. Erceg was little tappy, little jabby, tappy, jabby. And it's just like, you're an MMA fighter, man. You're in a fight, Corey Sandhagen, for lack of a better term. He's Corey Sandhagening out there. Pretty, oh, I switched stances. Ooh, look how technical my jab is. Yeah, he's hitting his guard. It's partially getting his forehead. You got to crack the chin. You got to grit down and go. You're behind. You're losing. Where's the flying knee? Where's the head kick? Where's the big move? Where's the offensive takedown? Where's something to change what's happening to you? You're losing. That was the story of the fight. It was just no urgency, no intention. Tappy. Maybe I'll win if I outland him. Moreno's trying to take your head off. So he's getting the U's and the R's. He's landing on you and you're going backwards and getting hit backwards with shots. Even though you're outlanding him, which maybe Erceg's autistic enough to be counting in his head. That was 25-21 that round. That was 27-21 in the second. Brother, they weren't real shots. You landed some good. Round 1, Moreno took his head off nearly a few times. No one's arguing round 1. Moreno cracked him with that overhand right non-stop in round 1. Nearly finished him a few times. Wobbled him once. Slightly. He wasn't ever too badly hurt, but he stunned him a few times for sure and had him like jelly-legged off balance, but he was good. He wasn't concussed or, I won't even say wobbly. He just shocked him. He shocked him with massive punches in round 1. Round 2, I thought Moreno won that round as well. Erceg landed good occasionally, but Moreno would land better. He would land better shots, and they were the only ones that would do anything in terms of damage. Round 3, Moreno only landed 10 strikes. So I gave that to Erceg. He landed 20. So that's where I can see, like, okay, he's been outlanded like the other rounds, but he's not landed enough, and he's not landed big enough. So round 3, I quite clearly gave to Steve Erceg. Although still competitive, and Moreno again landed the better shots, Erceg, I believe, landed a good knee to the body in that round, a good teep that round as well. But that was single amounts of knees and teeps. Like, where's the clinch? Where's the elbow on the break? Where's the lead elbow? I picked Brandon Moreno to win 49-46 decision. I actually think I did pick him to win that way. And he won exactly that way. Very close. But Erceg, like, where's the lead elbow? Vertical, lead elbow. Moreno's got this high and tight guard. Where's the knee up the middle? Where's any of that? He's dipping his head forward. He had great head movement in this fight, and he was rolling with shots very well. And the only thing that really landed from Erceg past round 2 was like peppery jabs that occasionally would tap the face of Moreno. Nothing popped Moreno's head back past round 2. And Moreno sort of took his foot off the gas in the third. You know, his output halved in the third round. Round 4, he got a takedown at the end, and it was a close round where he definitely landed the better shots. He cut Erceg on the head a little bit. So little moments, he's pushing forward the whole time. He's following up. He's landing the better low kicks. He landed a few good body kicks as well. He got wild now and then and threw in combination. Round 5, I thought it was very close. Probably Moreno's closest in terms of numbers. And he landed better shots. And he got a takedown at the end of the round. Or he ended up on top at the end of the round because he caught a kick. And Erceg went down and Moreno ended up on top. I would have loved to have seen a bit more urgency there because it's very close, Moreno. And you should be doing a couple elbows in the crucifix position rather than just laying there. But that's clearly Moreno's rounds. 5, 4, 1. 2 was close, but I leaned Moreno. That was a swing round, but I leaned Moreno for landing better shots. And then round 3, clear Erceg, but close. I'm disappointed in Erceg. It was a very disappointing performance. He didn't throw anything with intention. Nothing with intention. Nothing was meant to hurt Moreno, that fight, it felt like, past round 1 and 2. And even in round 1 and 2, they were few and far between. And less intention shots than Moreno. Where's the elbows? Where's the offensive takedown? It's like Erceg has suffered in 2 ways and let it get into his head. He failed the 5th of the Pantoja fight because he shot in at the end and got reversed. So he now doesn't feel like he should be shooting takedowns at the end of these rounds. He got KO'd by Cara France, so maybe he shouldn't commit as much anymore to big shots and be more defensively responsible. Like both of those factors combined made him a gun-shy, tippy-tappy, no offensive takedown shooting guy that's just going to let himself lose a close decision. It was weird. Moreno looked good early. He looked really good, but he had dips where I thought Erceg could go. Now we go. Now we get the clinch. Now we land an elbow through the guards. Now we smash a head kick or a big front or a big jump knee whenever Moreno's the one on the back foot. Big jump knee to the body. Separate, elbow on the break, find the clinch, push him up against the cage, work him there with knees to the body. And there was no, it was just, I'm happy to try and trick and steal my way a decision with tippy-tappy kicks because the numbers are going to be in my favor. I didn't like it from Erceg at all. Very disappointing. I picked Brandon Moreno 4-1 decision. He got it done 4-1. I did pretty good on picks. The only ones I got wrong this card were Ronaldo Rodriguez losing. And also on the prelims, Christian Rodriguez losing. The 2 Rodriguezes let down the Mexican team. I'll tell you that much. But other than that, I got the whole card pretty much spot on and perfect. So I'm okay with that. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye. Come on, Erceg, man. Commit. And people are saying, I'll give him Amir Albazi. And I'm thinking, dude, he's had enough favors. He lost a championship fight to Pantoja. I thought he could have won. So I was like, okay, give him Cara France a top contender. He lost by KO. And you know what? I was okay with the Moreno fight because of look how close the Pantoja fight was. He could have won the fight. He should have arguably won on damage. But I get the visuals of him ending up on bottom in such a close fight. So give him the Moreno fight. Why not? But now I think it's time to be like, okay, we've given you enough chances. You didn't really earn these spots in the first place. Let's not forget the Pantoja fight was a layup on short notice anyway. Give him Asu Almabayev and give someone else the big fights at the top, you know? I think, because he needs to reset and rebuild confidence because, I don't know, he weren't committing with nothing. Like and subscribe, thank you for... But he looked really technical though. But it's not that. It's a fight. And Moreno knew it was a fight. That's why he won. See you later. Goodbye. 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 Toodle pip. Goodbye.